What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Sarah from Sarah Styles here. We are going live today. I am doing a live series once or twice a week. I am chatting with people in the community to get their perspective on all kinds of different topics. Today, we will be talking to Ms.Ellaneous Thrifts. Beverly from Ms.Ellaneous Thrifts. She has been in beta testing with me for the dashboard from the very beginning. She came in almost a year ago and volunteered to do beta testing with me and help me kind of develop this whole dashboard thing. So we are going to be chatting with her. Before we get started, if you like content like this, you want to see live sessions with lots of various different types of resellers in the community, make sure to hit that subscribe button and also hit the little bell so you get notified when new content comes out. And also leave comments down below if you are watching this after and you have questions. We will definitely check back. Hey, if you are on and joining us, I will be checking with the comments. So this is going to be an ongoing conversation. Let's get started. Ms.Ellaneous Thrifts, Beverly from Ms.Ellaneous Thrifts. She is a mom of 3. She is from South Carolina and resells 10 to 20 hours a week. Her children's ages, I know she has a little one. I'll let her tell us. She has a little one and then a couple of school age kids. I think she's a runner. She tried to get me to do a half marathon with her and I was like, nah, like I'm good, but she kills it. So let me bring her on. Hello.
Hi.
Beverly, welcome. Let's start with so her name, I've only ever read her name. So I want her to say her name and then tell us a little bit about where it comes from and how she got into reselling.
All right, so my name is Miscellaneous, like miscellaneous things. Like you have a bunch of random things, so they're miscellaneous.
Yes.
And I came to that. I think I don't remember, but like a really long time ago, we were in I used to do like a trivia night with a bunch of friends. And so we'd always come up with like weird, clever, like punny names. And then we were like throwing out a bunch of different names. And then we like randomly started talking about like, if you had a roller derby name, what would it be? And one of my friends was like, she said something else and it wasn't miscellaneous, but it was something like that. It was like I keep wanting to say misdemeanor, like missing misdemeanor. Like, obviously we had a different one. Yeah. And so then I was like thinking about other like miss names and I was like, miscellaneous. So then it kind of just like that became my screen name and everything after that, which I thought was like super appropriate because like I do all sorts of different things and am into just a little bit of everything. So just kind of fit and went on from there.
It's genius. And now that you say it out loud,
right?
Genius. Like I just was like, oh, that's her last name and never really like said it out loud. But then doing this, I was like, oh, like that's genius. I love it. So tell us a little bit about how you got into thrifting or into reselling.
So I don't know. So like after I had so I have first of all, I'm from North Carolina, not South Carolina.
Okay. Sorry. My in-laws are from South Carolina, so I think I got the sorry.
No worries. So my 3 kids are 11. The middle one just turned 10 today. And then I have a 3-year-old. So when after I had my 3-year-old, I guess a while after I had my 3-year-old, when she was about a year and a half years old, I was looking for, just trying to find something to do, bring in a little extra income, but just like more to just have something. So I felt like I was doing something more than just staying at home, which I mean, just staying at home is like more than enough work.
Oh, sure, but it's not always stimulating work.
Right. Yeah. I think that's more. I wanted something to feel, I don't know, to do more for me personally.
Right.
And played around with a bunch of things and just nothing. Like I did a bunch of like when I got married, I taught myself calligraphy and brush lettering. And so I had been like, I was like, well, maybe I can do that. Maybe I can like letter some, do envelope addressing for other people's weddings because you can make some good money doing that.
Really?
Yeah, it's like, I think like the lower price end is like $10 an envelope.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, see, like our wedding was like an Evite to like the park with a kid. I don't get it.
Right? Yeah.
That's crazy.
But yeah, I mean, just nothing ever really like I just, and I couldn't really commit the time to really learn, like getting that skill at the level, like it was fine for me, but it wasn't like at the level where I thought it should be to like sell to other people.
And it's hard
So I
to
don't know.
commit.
I did a bunch of other things.
Yeah.
And then one day I was like at the thrift store because I needed like some retail therapy and I didn't want to like drop $1 million at the mall. And I remember randomly like this lady was like, "Oh, look at how cute this skirt is. You look like this would fit you. Do you want this?" And it was like a nice like old or like vintage wool skirt. And I was like, "Oh, that's adorable. Yeah." And then so I bought it. And then it actually didn't fit. It was like a little bit too big. And I was like, I've been hearing about this Poshmark thing. Maybe I should try to sell it on there.
Oh, nice.
That was it. I posted that, and then I like pulled a couple things from my closet that I didn't wear a lot, and like randomly, like 3 days later, I sold something, and I was like, yes. I was like, this is the best thing ever. And then I just kept doing it.
I feel like, and I've talked about this on other videos too, I absolutely feel like Poshmark has that in their algorithm. My husband just said our wedding was fire, and it was fire. It was fun. I was doing cake stands in like my quote unquote wedding dress, and it was fun, but it was not a calligraphy, wedding. But I absolutely feel like Poshmark like gets you hooked and gives you a sale like within the first week of you posting,
right?
So that because almost every single person that I've talked to is like, "Oh yeah, I got a sale," and then I was hooked, and I'm like, they know.
I mean, they're really smart. They should do that. If they don't do that, they need to do that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. All right. So you have Beverly has been with me from the beginning. I started beta testing around, it was probably April of last year. I had this idea and I was like, well, I don't even know like if it would work for other people's data or if other people would want this or whatever. So I posted in a Facebook group and I was like, hey, I have this idea. Does anybody want to help test it out? And Beverly was one of the ones that was like, yeah, cool, let's do it. She put in a lot of time and effort to help me test it. I was building it, but then I would release something and be like, you have to test this and you have to do this. And so she definitely, I'm very grateful for her because she's helped me test the various different ones. And I have a question and I'm like, hey, what do you think about this as a consumer and everything? So I'm curious, what made you want to test it? What made you want to, like when you saw that post, you're like, oh yeah, I want to do that.
I mean, I know we've talked about this before where like I really enjoy data, but like I'm not super well versed in spreadsheets or building them or anything like that. And so I had kind of made my own little forms and whatever, but never put it on a spreadsheet, and obviously don't know anything about like the analytics part. But I was like, I wonder how these things would look and stuff. And I had looked into other like some of the other ones that do this, but all of them used Excel. And like, I personally don't have Excel and don't even really enjoy using Excel. So I didn't want to purchase Excel. So it was like perfect timing. Like, the post came up and was like, hey, do you want to try this? It'll be all on Google Sheets. And I was like, of course I want to try this. Like, that looks like a win-win.
Yeah, well, and then I think it was like 95% of the people that I beta tested were like, it has to be in Google Sheets. And for someone like Excel is so much easier for me to use. And like, I'm used to doing things in Excel. And so then I had to like figure out how to, but it was very important to me from the beta test, from what you guys were saying, to keep it in Google Sheets so that it is easily accessible.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you jumping in and helping me. We're going to kind of get into the nitty gritty of her data. I did a quick analysis. I don't know how to share my screen on this yet. I think you can, but I have not figured it out. So I will not be sharing her screen, but she does use both the sales and inventory dashboard. She sent me her reports. So I did a quick analysis comparing what she was doing before she started using the dashboard to what she's doing now. So it's not just her saying, I think I'm doing better. I have actual numbers to share with you. So since she started using the dashboard in April or May, probably more May because we started in April. She minus a vacation she took in August, which obviously that doesn't count. She has lowered her cost of goods by 21%. Her profit has increased. Her total profits have increased by 18%. She's increased how many items she's selling by 28%. And then her average sale price, so each item is selling at 8% higher. These are amazing numbers. And I know from talking to Beverly kind of the things that she's changed, and it's not working any harder necessarily or working more hours, just working differently now that she knows the data. So let's look at, when you first look at the data, this is one of my favorite questions. When you first looked at the data, what were kind of like your what aha kind of moments? Like, I thought it was this way, and like the data telling me something different.
I think that the two biggest ones were like we looked at the days of the week I sold stuff, and like my biggest days were like Wednesday, and like my smallest days were Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And like you hear, I mean, of course, it may not be true for everyone, but like you hear all the time that like you make more sales on the weekends. They should always be higher, or, they're normally higher. And so I started to think about why mine might not be that way, and realized that, I like the whole family's home on the weekend. And at that point, like I probably would share my closet maybe once a day, if that. Mm-hmm. And so, realizing that like that might not be the smartest move, and then also that like it's not just
that, because everyone says on social media, and even like like economic reports and stuff are like, oh, e-commerce on the weekends is busy, and so right. They just kind of go with that, right? But it wasn't the case for you,
right? Yeah. And so I was like, well, maybe that's something I'm doing, not not everybody else is wrong, Right. And then gosh, what was the other like and of course I knew this, it all makes sense, right? If you want to make more profit, you either got to buy cheaper or sell higher, and but I always just kept thinking, well, I get bigger brands and I'll sell them higher, and then didn't think about the other side. Well, yeah, I can just try to find things cheaper, and like, because at the time too, I had only been going to like the one Goodwill that's right near me, and they have like a set price for lots of things, and it's lower than a lot of Goodwills from what I'm finding, but it's high for my area and high for the pieces I find.
Yeah.
So after thinking about that, I was like, well, let me go check out some other places. Let me find places that I can lower my cost of goods, because by lowering my cost of goods, I can increase my profits. And I'm doing the same. I'm spending the same amount of time looking. I'm spending the same amount of time listing. And even if they sell for the same price, I'm making more profit because I didn't put as much money in.
Right. Which means you think outside of what you normally do.
Right.
Yeah. So Michaela says weekends are her slowest days also. Her biggest day is Thursday. So I wonder what she's doing if something happens on Thursdays. I've been trying to promote sales on Thursday nights because Fridays are usually payday.
Yeah, especially like the bi-weekly payday. I used to do that. I used to save up all my offers for Likers and then send them all out Thursday night.
Yeah, it's kind of something I'm looking at. So I wonder if she does that too. We'll see if she comments back. Okay, so you lowered your cost of goods by just going to different places to source and being more cognizant of what you were picking up. And I know we chatted about that a little bit too. So you've increased your profits by 18%. Part of that is by lowering your cost of goods. But what else have you done? Because your average sale price is also up, and so is the quantity that you're selling. I think some of that probably goes into your sharing on the weekend, like making more of a point to share on the weekends. Right. But what other things are you doing or have helped you to do that?
Lowering the cost of goods, I think was like my first big, let's do that, Yeah. And then, like when I first started, I was thinking like, okay, well, after the 20% and this and this and this, I want to make at least this much off of everything I thought. And And that number was fairly low for me because I was just starting and, wasn't even thinking about all the time it takes to do all of this stuff. So that number's getting higher. But,
well, and I think it's the case with most people, especially when you don't look at the data, you're like, oh, it just sold. And you don't actually think about how much time it took you to sell an item or
not thinking about
or whatever. Like
the photographing and the sharing and the, all the list, like all the aspects of it rather than just, sweet, I made money,
Well, which is, I think, the Poshmark allure as well. Like, you get sales and you're just excited about it. And now it's like, okay, cool, I want to like do a little bit more with this and make it worth my time.
So yeah, lowering that, but then it was, just making sure that like, if I go into a thrift store, like I might find this great brand, but if it's not, if it's just okay brand, but it's not going to get, as much that if the average sale price is not going to be there. So like making sure that average sale price is high enough to make the money I'm putting into it to start with worth it, because, and so that was a big thing, just making sure, being aware of, this brand might be good and it might sell and I might make some money on it, but like, instead of spending my time trying to make some money, I'm going to focus my time trying to make more money, so just trying to be more aware of, what brands sell for me at higher sell prices so that I can get, bigger profits.
Seeing my data as well, it was like the same thing when I was looking at it. It's so hard to be in a thrift store and not just put all the things in your cart, and then you get home and you're like, oh, I have to list these. Right? And so it's like having to gut check yourself in the store to be like, I only want pieces that are going to be worth my time. And I still struggle with that. I'm like, it's at the bins, it's fine. And then I get home and I'm like, why did I get this? I don't want to list this.
It's only $1, might as well buy it, but
yeah, exactly. And then you don't think. And that's why, like, for me, numbers are like a comfort kind of thing where like I have that number in the back of my mind and I'm like, no, Sarah, no. Like, buy this, you will regret it. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the things that changed. So the simulator, I do want to point out, if you don't have the dashboard, one of the things she's kind of referring to is the simulator where you will put in, I want to make X amount of dollars for the month, and it will tell you, you either need to make this, you need to sell this many items at your average sale price, or you need to increase your average sale price to this dollar amount, and that's based off of how many items you're normally selling. So that's kind of what she's referring to in like how many she's selling and what her average sale price is. So you're just sourcing smarter and not harder. Let's talk a little bit about the inventory report or the inventory dashboard. This is somewhat new, came out at the end of November. And you actually were one of the big ones that were like, I want to see sizes. I want to see. And I'm like, well, I don't want to show that data unless we have how much you have on hand. And so when Poshmark came out with that, I was like, yes, I can give Beverly what she wants. You've been asking me for this, and I've been very resistant to giving it because it's analytically not the best way to look at it. So now that we have the inventory report, have you kind of dived into that, and what are you looking at when you look through that?
I have. I don't think I've gotten into it as much as I really, really want to, because, like you said, it was like in November, and then there was Christmas, and then winter is always hard here because you never know when you're going to have a snow day and have all the kids home.
And you can't work with all the children home?
I mean, no. I can get like a little bit done every night. Like, you would think it would be easier. Like, you take the older two and like use them to distract the younger one, but like that's not like
more people to fight.
Right. Exactly.
Or to make a mess, or mom.
Right. Yeah. It's the mom thing all the time. Like, you're like, I'm going to do this. Leave me alone for 10 minutes. And within that 10 minutes, like, they'll leave you alone for like an hour if you don't tell them that.
Yeah. I was going to say, you can't tell them that. Yeah. But then if they're like, hey, wait a minute, mom must be doing something she wants to be doing.
Right.
Where is
Mom's on the phone. Let's interrupt her 5 million times. You know?
I know. I told my kids I'm changing my name, and then they get my 5. So I have a 5, a 2, and a 14-year-old. The 14-year-old mostly knows that I'm kidding. But the 5 and the 2-year-old then get like really sad, like, you can't, but you're my mom. You can't. I'm like, well, then stop saying it a million times. But that was kind of a tangent side track. The inventory report. So you haven't had a lot of time to.
I have not jumped into it too as much as I would really like to. But I have noticed that, like, there are things, and it is so far proving true for me that, the larger sizes sell better. And like specifically, like, I know, like, at one point, like, I find a lot of J. Jill where I live, and like, I was gonna stop picking it up because I was like, it just doesn't really sell for me. I'm gonna stop. And then I plugged in 1 month to the dashboard, and it was like, J. Jill is not only like a fast seller for me, but it's not the highest, but it's, in the top 10.
Yeah.
And I was like, so why would I stop picking this up? But I noticed, especially with the J. Jill, that like, I like, you really have to stick to, I would say large, or, the largest seem to sell really well for me.
Yeah.
Well,
and this is why it's important to look at your data, because like in no social media platform would you see J. Jill as like, it's
right, a brand that you want.
Right. But it is making you money. And it's something that like where you source is really important too, because that's something that you see, like you have to work with in the realms of what you see, and you see it a lot. It's making you a lot of money. Yeah. It's not like, I'm trying to think of like a big hoity-toity brand, like the big brands that are a luxury, you're not finding Louis Vuittons all the time, but
right, yeah.
It's making you money, and there's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to be selling all of these brands if it's not something that you can find.
Right. Like, it's a nice bread and butter for me. I know where I can list it. I know, it's going to be easy. I'm going to put it at this price. I don't have to do a lot of comps on it. I drop it in quick, and it's going to sell for me.
That's a very valid point. So I've been thinking about that as well too, because some things I'm like, oh, I'm going to try this, but then it takes me double the amount of time because I have to look up comps on it.
Mm-hmm.
Where there's a lot of things and I'm like, I know this, like, da, 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 da.
Right, yeah.
I don't have to. Sometimes I have to like look up something, but it takes me, which time is money. So if I'm having to spend double the time on it, right? Very valid.
Make double the money.
Yes, right. Or at least have it like bring traffic to my closet, or something.
Right.
Where J. Jill, if it's bringing you a little bit of a lower price point, but you're spending half the time on it,
right? Because I know where
you're starting to learn J. Jill customers, right? So like, know what pieces they like,
right? Yeah.
Where I would have no idea.
Yeah. Linen. They're looking for the linen.
Oh, really? Okay, good note.
Yeah, she has like a love linen line, and it usually does really well for me.
Oh, I don't know that I've ever picked up a J. Jill. I don't know that I have.
Yeah, I mean, it may not work for anyone else. I know that like she does have a store in North Carolina, so it may just be that.
Oh, you probably get a lot.
She's got a few of them, I think, in North Carolina. So I find them a lot here because she has them here. But
which is also another valid point. You probably see a lot of things that I do not see being in the South, and vice versa. Do you find Lily Pulitzer? Or are you not?
Huh?
I said, or are you not like deep South is really where I think you get the Lily Pulitzer?
Yeah, I actually do find a good bit of her. I find more of the vintage pieces, which don't seem to do as well, at least not for me. And I've heard in general that the vintage pieces don't do as well.
Oh, really?
When I find them lower, I still buy them anyway, because I figure worst case if they like bring eyes to my closet just for the brand,
True.
But yeah, I mean, I would say, like, it's not like I find it every time I go out. Like, I can find a J. Jill every time I go out, but like, I don't always find her every time. But like, I do. I have a pretty good handful, and find it sporadically,
And that I think I found one Lily Pulitzer in my entire life. Because in Colorado, like we don't. And then I had my cousin-in-law, my husband's cousin.
Right.
Makes her. She came out and she was like, "You resell. I have a bunch of old stuff I'm going to give you." And she gave me Lily Pulitzer, and I was like, "I don't know how to like sell this." Like, I had to ask someone. I was like, "Are there like names for these prints? Like, how does this work?" And they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, you have to put the name in there." And and I was like, "Okay."
I cannot. I have the hardest time finding the names for those patterns. Like it takes just so many, especially like some of the vintage ones don't have names. So you can look for hours and not find the name. And
Yeah.
it's just an older style that doesn't have it.
Which maybe that's why they don't sell as well, because you can't put as much like it's interesting. And I thought like these pants had lobsters on them. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, and they sold, I think both pairs that she gave me sold in like under a month for sure, if not quicker. And I was like, well, that's why everyone says to buy Lily Pulitzer.
Right.
But not find it because I live in Colorado. We don't really get beach wear so much. All right. So you've talked a little bit about some of the things that you've changed, lowering your COGS, sourcing different places. J. Jill is an example. Are there other things that you've looked at in the dashboards, like maybe some of the sales strategies? I noticed your buy it nows have increased by 30%. You think that's the luck of a draw? Or do you think that I mean, usually when people are buying it now, it's either your SEOs are better for some reason because they're bringing in traffic from Google, or you're getting like better quality items where people are like, yeah, I want that right now. Or better pricing strategies where people are like, oh, that's a reasonable price. I'll like buy it.
I mean, I think it really probably is a combination. I definitely think, just being in like the reselling world more, like the Facebook groups and stuff like that. Like I learned more about, SEOs and like, you want these key things. These are, when you're looking for a dress, what are you typing in, like, and keeping that in mind. So I think I definitely did improve that just, by interacting with other people that are doing this,
Right. Which makes a big difference.
It does. And I think I definitely improved the quality of the item as well. Because I remember like when I first started, like, I mean, I am so cheap that like nice stuff to me was like, stuff you find at Dillard's. I was like, ooh,
Yeah. Oh yeah, me too.
So fine, but like it's nice stuff, but like for reselling, it's probably not the best.
Well, if you're buying it new for $60, then
right.
It's selling for like 15, 10, 15, right?
And $3 comes out, and
yeah, exactly.
You're not making that much off of it. But like at the time when I first started, I was like, wow, these things are great, so I was picking up things like that and spending way more money than I should have on them, so learning that stuff, increasing quality, increasing like what looking for what's trending and what brands are doing better. And I think also like sharing more, being aware of the fact that like, you like, I knew sharing was a big thing, but like after I looked at the data, I was like, I really need to, and like, so I made a rule that like I had to share at like the bare minimum 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Like bare minimum. And now like doing way more than that, but like the second I started sharing at least 3 times a day, like I noticed a huge increase in likes, which we all know likes don't always equal sales. But percentage. But just, I mean, obviously you increase in shares, you're gonna get more eyes on your items, and I think that had just a big thing, just being aware of sharing is huge in Poshmark, like
sure. Do you share your entire closet every time that you do it, or do you do like selective sharing? Because I know some people that I've talked to that are really busy, and I'll do it sometimes too. Like I'll share my top, like I only have a few minutes, and so I'll share like my highest price items, or like ways that when you are really busy to still make sure that you're sharing. Or do you like make sure that you are sitting down and sharing your entire closet 3 times a day?
At that point, it was my entire closet 3 times a day, but I probably had like 100 items, and that, that's a lot, but like that's not a lot, So, and I timed it, and anywhere between like in this bit of time where now I have about 300 active listings. So between 100 and 300, it would take me 15 minutes to share my closet. So, I would sit down, and that's a lot of time, but it's not. I would sit down and just knock it out in 15 minutes.
Yeah. Well, that's not too bad. I have like 700 active.
Right. Yeah. Now I gave in and I did hire a VA. So I don't even think about that anymore. But when it did start to get bigger, like right around when I started to hit 300, I would do, I guess, selective sharing. So I would sit and do I would look at the parties for that day. And if it happened to be during a party, I would share what would go into that party and share it to the party at the same time. And if it wasn't during the party, I would still share those, say an hour before the party, but I know I'm not going to be sitting down. I would share those things anyway, just thinking, maybe somebody comes online for that party and then they come into my closet and, they're looking for outdoor and there's at the top of my closet. I don't know. I don't know if that helps.
Yeah.
I think more than anything, it gave me a category to share rather than whatever,
Yeah, rather than like this.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense. I never pay attention to the parties. I'm like the worst posture ever. I know the night party, definitely the night party all the time, but all the other ones, I'm like, do people really, I wonder how many people are actually really going on and are like, oh, activewear, let me look at this party.
Yeah. I mean, I know when I'm going to buy activewear, I'm not let me go to the Posh party. I'm let me Google this thing or, let me go to Posh. I actually do usually go to Posh when I'm buying it. Literally let me go to Posh and look for this specific thing I need, not let me wait for the activewear party,
And I feel like the night party definitely brings a lot of traffic. The other parties during the day, I don't know. I don't feel this is not any statement I'm making. This is my theory on life. I don't know that the other parties are, especially because a lot of people are active during, not really the night makes sense.
I wanted to look, but for me, more than anything, it was just give me a new and different thing to share at different times of the day. Yeah. So I'm mixing up what I'm sharing.
Yeah. And I bet that's probably what Posh is doing, is trying to get people active during the day. Right. To go and share and do whatever. Because it's absolutely active social app. On that note, I'm going to put a little teaser in right now because I am, did you fill out the anonymous survey?
I did.
Yeah. So I have looked at all the data. And it's super exciting. I'm not going to share anything now. I will do a full YouTube video on it. But some of the things that we know are true from when I'm looking at the data. It's definitely a social app. And now I can see it in the data, which really excites me. But there's some things that are out there in the community that the data doesn't really support. So it's going to be super exciting. Hopefully I get to it this weekend. But you can tell I'm all giddy about it. I have so many charts and my husband was like, Sarah, you cannot share these charts. No one wants to see all of those charts. I'm like, oh, really?
I mean, I don't know. I've the second it came out, I was like, oh my God, this looks so cool. Yeah. I want to see this. I want to know. So yeah, I mean, even if you don't share all the charts, you can you show them to me. I'll be excited.
Well, I think I'll probably put all of the charts at the end of the video for people who really do want to. But most people don't want to see every single thing that I looked at. Tell me what I need to do.
I want to know the general idea.
Yeah, right. Make sure you're legit and you actually looked at something and then tell me what to do with it. All right. So that's kind of what we've gone through. As far as using the dashboard and helping you kind of just work a little bit smarter and not harder. I do think once that you get further into the inventory dashboard, it'll also be very helpful. This size stuff is really helping me because I'll be out at a store and I'm like, oh, this is kind of right on my ASP that I want to hit. I'm not sure. And then I look at the size and I'm like, it's an extra small petite. No. Right. But if it's an extra small petite and it fits all the criteria, then fine. But if I'm wavering around it, I now pay attention to the size. So I appreciate you pushing me to put that into the dashboard. And I'm sure everyone else does as well. It's really, and the category stuff too is really, I sell dresses, but now I can see what kinds of dresses I'm selling. All right. So let's wrap it up with it is, I know it's late there for you and I can hear it. My 2-year-old did not nap today. He is upstairs like ready for bed. I'm sure he wants a good night. One piece of advice that you would give a reseller, it doesn't have to be a new reseller, but just a reseller in general, what is your one piece of advice?
I think of like the one thing that was like a big learning thing for me, and like I still am learning it, is like really make sure that you have a way to check for flaws before you buy stuff. Especially like I'll see this like great brand and I'll be like, this is the greatest thing ever. I need to buy this right now. And I'll just throw it in my cart. And then I usually do a second look over, but still sometimes I'm just like blinded by the brand that I don't know. And I get it home and I go to list it and there's like a huge hole in it.
Yeah. Blinded by the brand is definitely the thing.
I think, find some sort of system and like shut down the brand, and like
ignore
really look for the flaws. And if there's a huge stain, even on a good brand, a really good brand, it might still be worth it, but on a good brand, it's probably not worth it.
And being able to say no. So if you find that, like there's so many times that you're like, oh, it's fine. It'll still, like how many times do you talk yourself through things at the thrift store and then you're like sharing it and you're like, why? Why do you do this? Yeah. That is a great tip. That's a really good tip. I've been thrifting my entire life. So I'm like in the habit of like, I went shopping with my mom this morning because it was 50% off for seniors. So I was like, your discount. And it was more of my kids needed stuff, but I found a couple other things. But like she taught me, like you grab everything and you put it in your cart and then you go to the back where there's a mirror in the rack and you look it over one time. And then I always look it over one more time as I'm standing in line. And my mom actually, when we go together, she'll help me because she's like a pro at it. Like,
my mom does it too.
Did you see
when she's there? Did you notice this one thread is loose? I'm like, that's okay. I can trim that.
That's fine. All right. Well, I appreciate you on your son's birthday coming out late at night. I mean, it's 9:30 would be late for me. So I appreciate you coming out and chatting with us. Links for all of Beverly's stuff will be down below. Leave comments if you have questions for me or for Beverly. I will make sure that they get to her, or you can reach out to her on Instagram. Her Instagram is also really fun. I was telling her before we started on the live. She has like such a way to build engagement. I am learning at this, and every post that she has, I'm like, let me tell you my whole life story. Like, I don't know how you got it out of me. So definitely follow her on Instagram. And if you have questions for her, for me, reach out to us. I hope everyone has a wonderful night. If you like stuff like this, make sure to, where's my finger there? I'm only a half screen. Make sure to subscribe and hit the little bell. I am going live on Thursday with 2 full-time resellers who we will be talking about the pros and cons between Poshmark and eBay. I am really excited about this one. So make sure to follow. That is up on my live or on my YouTube as well. And you can hit a little reminder on there to be reminded when we go live on Thursday. So I hope everyone has a good night and mini sales sent your way to end up. What do we have? 2 days left of the month. Let's kill it for the sales. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.